Right now, it should be on.
Can you hear me out there? Whoa, that's great. So this session here is about rebuilding trust with empower and accountability, bridging COPs, global stock chains, and trust. So my first question is, how many in the room went to COP? It's just 1 month and 1 week ago. Please put up your hand. How many in this room went to COP, or somebody from your company or your company went to COP? A couple of people did that. Perfect. So first of all, I have been supporting Shelley by running COP the last 3 years together with Anders Rosenberg next to me. And COP, which is the biggest climate conference that happens every year, this time it was in Dubai, is becoming bigger and bigger. So even though you think at Davos is big, there was actually 100,000 people in Dubai. Many of the people that you see here, the head of states, the CEOs, the NGOs, the family offices, philanthropies, was also in COP. So Anders, you are literally been working on the data, and you see the evolution for the last 3 years, where we were in Scotland, to Egypt, and now Dubai. And it is the theme about climate, but it's also future mobility. And what is beautiful about COPs, you all know it, what I'm excited about is that they started having one day. Remember, you think it's exhausting to be in Davos, which is just 5 days. COP is 2 weeks. So that's nothing to be tired about today, right? This year will just be midway in Dubai. So in Dubai, or in COP, at COP, you actually have 1 day only on gender equality, and that's why we do the female quotient lounge. And we actually did 17 panels. We had more than 100 speakers. So it's a little bit of a marathon, just like you have here. But the beautiful thing about what happened in Dubai was that every single day of the 2 weeks, diversity and inclusion was on the agenda. So Anders, tell us a little bit about the data and what you've seen the last 3 years.
Yeah, no, and I think this is really a big credit to the female quotient and the work that, of course, you do, Anne, but also Shelley. Because the question is really, we're going through a lot of change over the next couple of years from a sustainability and climate perspective. But do women have a table in that change? Because in the old world, they didn't have the table or the seats that they needed, but do they then have it in the new? So we benchmarked to see the companies that are really committed and are driving the change, renewable energy companies and the like, are they performing better or worse than average companies on gender, on race, ethnicity, on DI in general? And this was where, when we started back in Glasgow, the sad answer was they were not. So you would actually have oil and gas companies outperforming many of the renewable energy companies on gender and the like. So that was, we start with some bad news. The good news is then, and we can take full credit for it here at FQ, because we started measuring it, it actually started improving. So the next year, they were actually better, and this year they were also better. So again, bad start, but again, you measure it over time and you actually see the progress. It is still not where it needs to be. Women don't have the full seat at the table as they should, but at least we are way higher than the average companies, and we are better than oil and gas companies in that one.
Thank you so much, Anna. So Kim, you are the newest member of Sustainable IT Org Board, and you really have been working a lot around the intersection across all the different SDGs. So tell us about that work.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me, Anna. I'm very excited to be here. Let me start by telling you who I am, because my answer won't make sense if you don't know why I'm saying the things I'm saying. So my name is Kim Jenkins. I am the CEO of a company called the Kim Jenkins Experience, that is a multifaceted consulting firm. I am a finance professional. I have been a CPA. I have been a CFO. I have been an IT professional, and I have also been a chief diversity officer. So when you talk about the intersection of all those things, why is this work important? I believe there are several things. It is clear that there needs to be something done. It is clear it needs to be more than just talking. This could be the next initiative. This could be the next shiny bright light. But if you are clear about setting expectations, defining how you're going to measure it, using the data, as you say, being accountable about who is being held responsible for what, and then making a clear path forward, you can deliver measurable results. And the finance person in me says, every quarter, you have to be able to present a balance sheet and a P&L. Sometimes we get into this work around things like inclusion, like equality, like sustainability, and we want to talk about them for years and years and years. But I believe this is important because if you do the work, the results will speak for themselves, and you won't have to keep talking about the work. So you deliver the results, be clear about what your expectations are, and then you can change the world and have a real impact. That is why I believe this work is important. I'm really excited to be the newest member of your board.
Thank you so much, Kim. So what was interesting at COP was that, and some of you definitely know about it, is already involved in it. This is all the great regulations that is coming around sustainability, and the newest one is the CSRD, and Nick Heine, who is the Chief Operations Officer at Greenex, which is a very successful company out of Munich, going into the entire world and getting a huge amount of companies really to look at their supply chain, procurement processes. So what is going on here? We are seeing a big commitment since the 70 Global Goals came out in 2015. We are seeing that head of state, CEOs, everybody's behind it. We're seeing more and more regulations. But this is tough work because we need data, we need transparency. So talk a little bit about the company and all the great things that you guys are doing.
Sure. So thanks, Anne, and first of all, thanks for having me. It's actually my first time in Davos, and I mean, I have to say, when you walk around, you really see sustainability everywhere, which makes me pretty glad and excited. Actually, my perspective is the supply chain transparency, because if you look at the products that you consume, that you use every day, like an iPhone, for example, 80% of the emissions do not come from Apple. They come from out of the supply chain. So the suppliers that deliver the display and chassis and things like that. So this is where the emissions come from. It's also related to, when you look at topics like child labor or gender equality, it's typically not in the country where the OEM, where Apple, or I'm from Germany, where German companies are. You have to look deeper into the supply chain, and then you really identify inequality, you identify a high carbon footprint, and all these ESG topics. So this is why my perspective on this is supply chain sustainability. And I'm a co-founder and CEO of the company Integrity Next. We are a cloud-based platform that has over 1.5 million companies on the platform that all show their business practice on ESG aspects. So all the way from carbon emissions, scope 1, 2, 3, but also product carbon emissions, which become more and more important, but also social aspects, taking care about child labor, so that making sure that the 5-year-old's not working and picking cocoa at the plantage, and also gender equality. So I think it's a pretty broad area, but when you are in the supply chain, there is a real supply chain process about picking the right suppliers, which are doing good business and sustainable business, and then also continuously check them on ESG risk. And this is what companies do need to do nowadays to really reinforce the trust in them. And we see that every day. Just yesterday, I think the European Commission approved a new law, which is around greenwashing, so anti-greenwashing law. And this shows us that trust needs to come back. And I think data is key, and data out of the supply chain is definitely key.
Thank you so much. So, Ralph, you're the chairman of the Board of Sustainable IT. You are an executive, an amazing career behind you, and the common denominator for sustainable IT is to make sure that we get the chief innovation officers, the chief technology officers to have a seat at the table. And I enjoy that a lot because I come from the same background of technology, and I see that we literally are missing them a lot in the conversation. And this has been a big conversation during COP, doing Davos. So tell us about sustainableic.org and what is it, what is the mandate, what's going on. And I know you were very active at COP, also with ServiceNow. So tell us also about the work and from COP here to Davos.
Thanks so much. So yeah, I had a long career as a Fortune 50 CIO, multiple industries. So enjoyed that career, but now it's time to do something more. And I think what's happened in the world is every meaningful transformation that we've gone through on a business perspective, digital transformation, et cetera, at the end of the day, technology leaders are involved actively in driving change. and I think we've seen they're missing from the ESG conversation. You ask the typical CIO, what are you doing? And it's, well, I'm building a carbon dashboard that my board uses once a quarter. No, you need to be active in solving the problem. And so what sustainable IT is about is building a community, motivating and engaging IT leaders. And one of the reasons I think COP28 is so important is it's moving away from agreements and moving toward action. And that's really the foundation of sustainable IT. It's to creating an action plan that other technology leaders who don't know what their role should be, they think they want a seat at the table, but they don't know what to do when they get there. Sustainable IT is about helping them define that voice, to know what to do when they get there, and to learn from all the others that are doing it as well. So it's community practice sharing. We've established a platform, a framework, published a set of standards, and we've had tremendous engagement in US and across Europe with our European board, board members and member companies engaging in this standard and beginning to move this activity forward.
Thank you so much. And for you who don't really think about this here, so where do the budgets sit in a company? Of course, in the marketing, but also in the IT department. All companies today are technology companies. Who don't have a seat at the table when we speak about sustainability? The Chief Innovation Officer, Chief Technology Officer. Excuse me, there's something wrong. This has been a great conversation here in Davos that I've been really excited about, and this is really the voice that you guys are moving forward. Thank you for that. So, Gold, you had a great announcement today, but before we talk about that, you went to COP, and I just want you to say 2 words about what did you see at COP, and it really is just 1 month and 1 week ago, and that's been Christmas and New Year in between, just you remember that, right? So is there any different? Did we speak about AI in COP? What was going on about that AI in COP?
There was not nearly as much about AI going on at COP, and probably that was for the best. Despite the fact that I do a lot of work in AI, the truth is what I heard from COP was excellent, which was, we're very much on a butte here. It was, all right, you have my attention, give me a way to help you. That's what I heard from Capital at COP, was that they were actually ready to act, and they were saying, you've made this big point that we should be here to help. How do you want us to do that so that we can write a check? Whereas what I'm seeing here at Davos is a step back to look at technology, quite frankly, mostly because those are the platforms that have come, that have spent the money to be here and to communicate their messaging. And that results in saying, this is how we're going to track the progress. But the capital arm is still saying, give us a way to move. Give us a way to help. Great, we have insights. Great, we have a focus on climate that's underpinning. How do we make this happen now? Because they are hungry for leadership. And leadership, when you think about it in the context of risk, means the capital wants to move into a place, it needs it to be de-risked. Leaders are there to reduce the risk by making the unknown known. We go out there, we pioneer the field, we take away the risk by showing you what the operational risk is, what the field risk is, what the returns are. And they said, fine, we're ready for you. Give us a leader, de-risk, show us, document, and then we can scale.
Thank you so much. So we have time for one more round, right? We are really on time here. And this is the more exciting round because we are at the beginning of the year. This is what we love about Davos. We are literally, what is the second week of January, and we're hitting the ground hard. And so what is your big thinking, Anders? You did not come empty-handed to Davos. You did some cool announcements. You had a lot coming up. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no. So I come from the investment world as well, and maybe to touch upon the points here, technology and data is really the things that is going to make the change. We're in the Equality Lounge. I recently had to move some funds of my retirement funds in the US. It was one of the big banks in the US, and they asked me how they want this money to be invested. And I said, can you ensure that my retirement funds are not going to companies that are underperforming on gender and on race ethnicity? And the answer was no. And I was like, what? Because they give me the option for weapon, they give me the option for no tobacco, deforestation. So again, it comes back to the technology is there, and this is really where we really generate change, because then we can start changing the capital flows. And maybe as a final good example on it, we did an analysis of the entire Danish population's retirement funds after this incident. I started thinking. So we did that and saw how has the Danish retirement funds been invested from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective. And the results were sadly not that positive. So there was like 97 billion invested in companies without a single woman. And again, gender has been a big agenda in Denmark for a long time, in Scandinavia. But at the end of the day, it's because many of the pension funds don't know how they've invested. So again, we need to get to the point where they at least know, and then we can start talking about what is a good level and what is a bad level and so forth. But it really all comes down to, technology and data and examples of that. So that's what I'm looking forward to a lot for this, because it's the same with sustainability. We need to know how has it been from a biodiversity perspective, or carbon, or water. So this is really the only way we're going to get to some change.
So Anders, what question is it? Do you want how many of you have a pension? Okay, what question do you want him to go and ask them?
I want you all to go and ask your financial provider that is providing that pension fund, or the company that is providing your pension plan, and ask yourself, if you're a woman, say, how is my money actually invested from a gender perspective? If you have other DI dimensions you care about, ask about those as well. It's only by doing that we will start getting these products. And again, we will start moving trillions of dollars towards companies that actually perform well on this. So we will get the change we need.
So Kim, you are the expert in explaining very complicated things so people understand the business value of it. And that's also what you're going to help us with at sustainableic.org, including all the other great things that you're representing. So how do we get the world to, there's no doubt about it, there's so much commitment. We see it in Davos, we saw it at COP. That question around trust, because this has become seriously. It's not just philanthropy nice to do something good for the world. This becomes the core of the business. So back to what you talk about. How do companies really begin to get into this, believe in it, and make a good business being a sustainable business?
Before I answer that question, can I just pivot from something you just said? If you actually have to ask your financial institution, then you've already lost. Why do I say that? I say that because everybody will tell you they have a gender initiative. Everybody will tell you they're moving towards gender equality. But if it is not transparent, it is not visible, and you can't see it, then it's performative and it doesn't exist. So if you have to ask for it, then you're already in the wrong place, if it matters to you. If you haven't already asked for it, you might want to ask yourself, does it matter to you? Because that means you yourself might not be informed enough about how to align your money to the things you say you want to deliver impact to. And having said that, as a finance professional, I know that if you can't make it make sense to the business is not going to want to play along. And the finance professional, if they can't support it for you, then they're not going to build a business case that's going to help you get the funding you need. You heard us say that people are trying to give you money. It is hard to give money away because people don't approach you with the information, the data, the facts, and the outcomes that are trying to be driven with that funding. And so why do I believe all of this can come together? I believe what's really critical and what's important is connecting it to the business. Make it make sense so that it's not considered to be the next bright, shiny initiative that people are trying to waste money on, but it is clearly enabling the business to remain profitable, to remain in business, to remain competitive. If you don't do this, then you can't continue to be competitive on a global scale. There's no other scenario that exists that is that simple to explain. And if you do that, not if, when, I want to speak positively, when you do that the right way, the money will flow. Who in their right mind will say to you, I am not going to give you money to be more sustainable? But we all know sense is not common, but we do know funding is finite. So you have the right business case, you connect it to the right people, you help people understand what's in it for them. The rest of it just happens.
So Nick, the company you represent, you really make it make sense for businesses based on also the great success you have. This is your first time to Davos, and you're together with the entire, the other co-founders and leadership team. So what is the big thing that you have ahead of you coming out of Davos and coming into this new year here? I mean, you guys are a rocket, right? So what can we expect of you guys in 2024?
Right. So as I said, we truly believe that the supply chain is a key lever for making the economy more sustainable in all that senses. And if you think about procurement organizations, and I'm in the procurement business since over 20 years now, the big problem is that even smaller organizations have thousands of suppliers, direct partners, yeah, and larger corporations can go up to 100K suppliers and vendors, which is incredible. So you have to get the arms around that. This is what we do since years. If you look behind that and further down the supply chain, then it becomes even more complex. You can imagine supply chains are very deep and multiple steps into the global south or other areas of the world. And there is no transparency, almost no transparency. I mean, you can try and build a supply chain, but if you speak to companies, to organizations, typically they lose track and they don't see the suppliers behind the suppliers. And this is really necessary to really tackle the things and get the things done, understand where the problems are. Because, as I said, it's typically not next to me. Yeah, not the problem is not my supplier in Germany or in Switzerland or in the US. It's typically somewhere down the supply chain. And I truly believe that technology should help with that. And picking up on yours, so AI is really. I mean, I was with IBM for a couple of years, and they were talking about AI many years back, and sometimes it felt like, okay, there's a language model, but and understanding the human language, but also an army of people behind it, trying to teach technology, trying to teach how to get the data out of it, how to get intelligence out of it. And now I think we are at a next level, and AI can really do a lot for us. And what we are going to do this year is really utilizing the new Gen AI to look deeper into supply chains so that companies understand and get transparency on these deep supply chains, what they would never achieve without that. So that's our big thing for this year.
Can I step in there really quickly? So in the spirit of being accountable and responsible, imagine if you cleaned up your supply chain, how much money you would find that you could then use for other initiatives. So it's not always net new money. It's about being very efficient and effective with the money you're spending. So I'm going to add something else to the list of things you should do, and it is you should find savings in your supply chain.
Thanks.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Ralph, and who is going to do all this great work? The technology people, which we love. Very exciting because sustainableict.org, you're unstoppable. You're not, I mean, you guys are going home tomorrow and taking a nap. No. The team here, some of them are sitting here, they're actually going to Munich. And then you're going to Hamburg. What is going on here? Why are you doing that?
Well, we have a very active European board, and we want to go spend some time with them, learn from them, because in many ways they're ahead of some of the other folks we're dealing with. One of the interesting things is I think, so we talk a bit about assets and return on assets and capital. You know, I look at technology, we've heard this term used in the technology industry, tech debt. And I hate that term because tech debt just means you're not doing your job. I think of things like data at rest is a liability. Data in motion is an asset. So we need more assets. We need to be in motion. We need to be driving change. We need to be supporting the agenda of the companies we're working with. So if you've got tech debt, it's because you're not in motion. You need to get in motion and make that change happen. That's part of why we're in motion going on to Germany. I also think there are terms like governance, like the G in ESG. I hate the term governance. If you look it up in the dictionary, to govern means to throttle, to limit, to slow down, to control. I've never had an IT governance organization. I've always changed the term to IT enablement. What's enablement? Enablement is about making sure I have the right people with the right skills and I apply the right resources at the right time to affect change and enable success in my business. So that's what sustainable IT is about. It's about creating motion and driving and enabling our technology leaders with the right skills, tools, information so they can be successful in driving change in their companies.
And then on Thursday next week, is it Thursday today? This is just in 1 week. There is a big event happening in Hamburg, which is an award, the European award, right?
Yeah, we're awarding our second set of awards. We've done a US-based set of awards in sustainable IT, awarding a number of categories of substantial leaders creating tremendous value in their company and across the industry. And we're recognizing some of our European company leaders and the massive work they've been doing. So stay tuned. Check out sustainableight.org. Look us on social media, and you can see some inspirational stories of some great companies who've done some amazing work.
And actually, many of those companies who's member of sustainableice.org is actually also member of Shelley of FQ. So you might have one of the upcoming award winners in your organization without knowing it. So keep a watch out for that, right? So, Gold, you just did an announcement earlier today at a lunch. We just give 2 words on that. I know we are running out of time. So just 2 words on that before we get thrown off the stage.
Absolutely. So I am extremely excited to share that considering what I heard coming out of COP28, I decided to be the change and be the leadership we needed. So in that interim space, I went and I formed our coalition, architected a new way of distributing that finance that people could get behind. And we are putting in between now and the next time I see you all at Davos, over $1 billion that will be running through one of my companies, Full. Thank you. Yes, very exciting. Into transforming our cities away from gray, polluted, cold, weirdly hot, horrible places to live that are bad for the environment, and into things that are green, sustainable, functional, cost-effective, providing a profitable vehicle for change that we will then build off of and accelerate. Because you're absolutely right. This is about data in motion. We use AI to make it possible to transition cities, not in 10 plus years. Nobody has time for that, but in 1 to 3 years, and we are starting now.
So, as you can see, some incredible leaders, and this is what I love about Davos. As I always say to people, I just want to say, first time at Davos, first time at Davos, first time at Davos,
Third time.
third time,
Fourth time.
fourth time. So, I think the common denominator for people going to Davos, they are change makers, the movers and the shakers, and they're coming here with big ambitions to change things. So thank you for all the things, great things you're doing. I'm excited to follow you and follow up on you, because you cannot say you're going to do and not doing it, right? Because then you're not a real shaker, right? Thank you so much, and thank you to the FQ for letting us having this great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.